All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live's Friday Night Fun Time. We have a few people in here with us tonight. I'm joined, as I always am, by the usual crew, the wonderful people that make this such a great and unique show. Starting to my immediate left, stage right, my immediate left, Dr. Brooks Agnew, somewhere in the Carolinas. Brooks, how you doing tonight? What adult beverage might you be sampling?
I am drinking Lafraigue Scotch on my Death Star Ice.
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
Very awesome. Yeah, the ice cubes at Death Star. I got one of those too. That's cool. That's really cool.
Awesome.
And then let's see what else we got here. I can't decide whether to put the chat up or not. The lower left-hand corner there from somewhere east of California, surrounded by balloons, is Dr. Blake Wally. Blake, how are you doing tonight? Why are our names not appearing? What setting do I have wrong now?
So there's some kind of thing in the upper right. There's like an overlay. I'm not quite sure, but I've been messing with the studio. Sorry about that, but it's great to be here.
Sorry.
And hello, everybody.
We're blaming everything for Blake's. Blaming everything on Blake. There we go. Blaming everything on Blake. I stand with Ukraine. Fuck that. Wait a minute. Blake did some. No, that's not going to work. So we either have the I stand with Ukraine or yeah. Well, maybe we'll live with that for a while. I think I can upload our CBD gurus overlay here.
Are you in the default? Room?
Right below me. In Montana, the site of the Chinese balloon attack is the wonderful. She should be a doctor. She's not a doctor. Candace Whitelight. Candace, how are you doing tonight? And what are you drinking tonight while I do this?
Well, I actually have a master's degree in science. So that's you know who used to say that, right? It's the guy that was on it. Anyway, so that's supposed to be funny. I've been tracking this whole incident. Let me tell you, I have all the details. So if you want information about this explosion that happened over Billings, Montana, then I'm
I've got
it.
So it's default. Hang on. Okay, I'm trying to communicate with Blake at the same time. I'm on. Okay, go ahead, Candace. Actually, let's talk about the balloon. For those of you who don't know, the Chinese sent a spy balloon flying over the United States. Let me see if I can solve all kinds of problems, technical difficulties here, all caused by TV's Blake Wally. And actually share a video of the balloon. Hopefully, tell me if it's not on your screen. There it is. Here's the video. Here's the moon. That's not the balloon. And then to the left is the Chinese spy balloon, which we're nicknaming Fang Fang. What planet is that? Well, it's not a planet. It's a Chinese spy balloon with cameras and solar panels and all kinds of cool stuff hanging from it, spying on our country. And of course, the Biden administration is completely unable to do anything about it. So, Candace, what can you tell us about what you know about the Chinese spy balloon?
Well, this is not the first or the last time that China has sent over balloons, okay? So this is something they regularly do. Not any new thing, except for this one actually was sent off, and it is with several others. So this is not just an isolated incident. This is something that is ongoing, and they took the track with these balloons as they went up through Alaska and then came down the coast of Canada and came into this country just north of the Montana border. And they flew right directly over an installation that has been there since the Cold War, which is several missile silos.
Yeah.
And that area is quite well protected. The Air Force Base there, Malmstrom, which is got a really incredible bevy of missile launchers, is the home of the command structure that is controls all the missile launchers in the entire region and most of them in the entire country. They are a very well-honed team, and they've been doing this for many, many years. So
I just want to clarify something. You just said well-honed, not well-hung. Correct? My hearing's not quite what it was.
well, I don't know them personally, so I can't discuss that. But what?
Yeah. Okay.
It's the home of the 341st Missile Wing of the Air Force Global Strike Command. So yesterday they were in the region and they were there with several. We were tracking them R-35s, which are the big refuelers, and they come over from Spokane, from Fairchild, where they have their big installation there. So they had a little, sortie into the area, and they usually are accompanied by quite a few F-22 Raptors, which came up from Nevada. So, it has been an incident. And that balloon that they were tracking, it was, discussed through the Pentagon just most of the day. They spent, I think, in high-level meetings. You kind of count on that. And they came out with this, we're just tracking it. It's of no danger and anything. So, this is, again, it has traveled off. It's now in someplace in Missouri. It was generally eastbound. There's also one over Latin America. And then there's another one that Canada has informed us of is actually coming down into this area again. So just about 2 hours ago now, there was a report that was about an explosion that happened over Billings. And right. They had some people that had, footage, went out on their deck and, looked at it. And it's a pretty extended sort of plume that, goes well up, 30 degrees up into space and then comes down quite close. And it actually kind of looked like there was a debris field for a minute. So, several people were on this. We were discussing it online. And the thing about this is that nobody seems to really know what it is. The Pentagon just made a statement where they said it's not ours. We have not been doing this, and the balloon is not in the area anymore. So, but right now there are Twitter reports that are, really saying there's still a big glowing orb up in the sky that's, very bright light, very large, in terms of looking large in a proximity type of way. So this is ongoing and it's very interesting. I, listened to Governor Giaforte, who, sounds a little clueless. He's got the National Guard on it just in case there's a security risk, for that big glowing orb there. And then the, Mayor Giuliani was talking about it, and he just instantly went off on Biden. So, we have sort of an interest in this area because of our ability to manage the entire, United States lower 48 from this region militarily. So there is some concern in terms of that if they're here, they're here in not very sophisticated devices. In other words, these balloons are, they run about 20,000 feet up, and they're, pretty obvious, as big as 3 big, long Greyhound buses.
Sorry,
Yeah.
it just seems like it would be an easy thing to shoot down. And why the fuck we haven't shot it down is, to me, the question of the hour. By the way, just real quickly, thank you, Christine Packer, for the happy birthday card. It was my birthday last Thursday, a week ago. And thank you for the happy birthday present. Remember, folks, if a girl doesn't give you a present, if she just says happy birthday or a card, she's not interested. If she gives you a present, You got to take her seriously. So thank you very much, Christine, for the present, which I just got today. And it just makes my birthday feel all the better. Now, this balloon seems to me it could easily be shot down. And it reminds me of the Carter administration. A lot of you don't remember the Carter administration. I'm sure Brooks does, because Brooks is older than me. And there was this one thing after another that showed the continuing ongoing incompetence of that administration. The fact that this unknown balloon, which apparently is not part of the U.S. military, because, Monkey Works tracks all that stuff. We do have surveillance balloons that go up and they monitor all of our conversations, and, they want to know who's sending us dirty pictures for our birthday on our phones and that kind of stuff. It all exists, but we did nothing. And I think, honestly, Brooks, my perspective is this is being done and publicized and known to point out the complete incompetence of the Biden administration, because Trump would have shot the fucking thing down, probably before it got to the United States.
Yeah, he would have shot it down on the beaches over there by the Aleutian Islands and told nobody about it.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, there are some unknowns about this balloon. One is that, of course, they wanted to say it was a civilian craft, which there's no such thing in China. The other thing is that they wanted to say it was just a research balloon. We know that's not true. It's loaded with sophisticated equipment. And what I just got off my sources on the East Coast is that the Air Force detected a radiological signal on this balloon. And that's why they didn't shoot it down over Montana, because they didn't want the radiological waste to come down on some community.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what that means, but I can tell you that the Raptors can't get very close to it. It's well above the Raptors' ceiling of 55,000 feet. It's not at 20,000 feet. It's like 70,000 feet.
Right.
And the Japanese have one that can fly at 200,000 feet. It's way.
Well, our equipment runs up at 70, 80,000 feet, but this one Monkey talked about today, and he said that it was a lot closer. In fact, it's in our what you'd call our commercial flight zone, which is it's somewhere where it shouldn't be. That's number one. So, I mean, that was confirmed information earlier. I believe anyway. I don't know. This is could be changing. So
that's the other thing about this is that it's not just floating along; it is steering itself. It is moving around and changing course. Now, if this thing stays in the air, right now it's over the middle of Missouri, just about where my son lives. But if it stays its present course, it's going to cross right over my house.
Yeah, it's headed for Raleigh. Somebody else pointed that out. Not that you're in Raleigh.
Right over my house. Yeah. I'm going to take it out if it gets here. I'm going to shoot it down.
That's the thing is we do have stuff that can take it down. We have missiles that can go that high and take it down.
Oh yeah, easily.
So why don't we just take it down? I mean,
well, you shouldn't do it over land. Let's get a grip here, because regardless of what you think it should be done, it really is far more complex. And if there is sophisticated equipment on that, what are the possibilities that there might be maybe a little piece of cesium on there that they just happen to plant in it?
That's
maybe
what
or virus, right?
I mean, you don't want that to happen, in any region where there is, number one, anything that, people wise, but also you have to look at, contamination and finding it and tracking it. I mean, there's guys out there that do this for fun as they, pick up old balloons.
Wait a minute, Candace. My response to that is this. I call it the Belgian farmer coincidence, because somebody's saying chatter suggests it's U.S. military, which is why I wouldn't shoot it down. In the late 1980s, early 1990s, late 1980s, because it was still the Cold War, a Polish MiG-23 Flogger, great name, MiG-23 Flogger, swing-wing aircraft, took off from a base in Poland, Soviet aircraft, Polish base. After we got, 18,000 feet, the pilot thought there was something wrong with the plane. So he punched out. Plane kept flying. Okay. Empty plane flying along. Wings all set. Heading west over Poland. Well, then pretty soon it gets into East Germany. And NATO says, holy fuck shiz, there's a MiG-23 or something coming at us. What is it? They send up the F-16s. When it crosses the West German border, they get close to it, and they're like, there's nobody in this thing. There's like no freaking pilot. What the hell do we do? And they realized something had happened. The pilot had popped out and parachuted down, yet the plane was still going. So they decided, well, we could shoot it down. Let's just shoot it down. And everybody said, no, for the same reasons, Candace. They said, no, you can't do that. Because what if it lands in a populated area and kills somebody? That would be bad. That would be really bad. We'd look bad. Let's just follow it because we're figuring it's going to run out of gas somewhere around France. So it flies over East Germany. It flies over West Germany. It flies over Belgium. And right about the time it gets to the end of Belgium and just across the border in France, it runs out of gas and it crashes. Sitting in his farmhouse just inside the French border is a Belgian farmer who's just cooked his poached eggs on toast and is sitting there enjoying his last breakfast on Earth because the fucking thing landed right on top of him. No fuel, no fire. Literally, it hit him. Okay, so I'm just telling you, this plane hit him. It wasn't like it landed near him and exploded. No, it landed on him. All right. All I'm saying is two things. Number one, if that happened, if you were sitting there having your breakfast in the morning just across the Belgian border in France, you're a Belgian, you're a dirty, stinking phlegm, and a MiG-23, a runaway pilotless MiG-23 lands on top of you, your number was up. Okay.
Yeah.
That you should have gotten a lottery ticket to leave to your family because your number was up.
Your time to go.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's really not funny. But the point is, if you shoot it down, the odds are just as good that it's just going to land on somebody as it is that it's going to land in the middle of nowhere. And it doesn't really matter. That is a true story. And the variables in that, the airspeed at the time, the decision by the pilot to punch out, when he punched out, how that changed the weight and the center of gravity of the aircraft when he punched out, and the ejector seat went with him and everything went with him. The wind speed, the wind direction, the variation in the wind speed and the wind direction, the amount of fuel on board, the fuel consumption, the throttle settings. There are so many variables involved in this guy's death. It's off the scale. And all I'm saying is, just because I wanted to tell that story, all I'm saying is, I don't think there's that much danger in just shooting a thing down over an generally uninhabited area, which it's passed over quite a few. Montana, okay. So I don't know that I buy that argument, Candace, and I'm wondering, because I still keep clinging to this. Blake and Brooks and Candace, I think this is designed to show the incompetence of the Biden administration. It's a political ploy to let this thing go across our airspace. Blake, am I crazy?
No, not necessarily until we can rule that possibility out. I guess everything's on the table. It's a strange circumstances. It's ridiculous. If they could have shot it down over Montana, that would have been seemingly like an obvious choice. And there's not, a ton of people that live in there. So it's unlikely that it would cause anything, you would think, or at least people would be on alert for it. You can't plan for a jet airplane from the military to.
There'd be a bunch of Montanans praying that it landed on their farm.
Yeah. If there's aliens on board, it's going to be welcome to Earth, right? Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right.
Yeah.
Well, but here's another speculation because China just responded, and they said that these balloons were just civilian purposes, right? They're not spy balloons, right? So, the speculation, it's great because there's a lot of great memes out there now. But the thing is that China has been purchasing farmland all up and down the Midwest and up into South Dakota. In fact, Governor Noam came on yesterday and said, we're not going to sell any more land in South Dakota to those Chinese. End of story. And that is an appropriate response because I think that might be the case where they're just taking a little tourist visit over their new holdings. And, that's a little scary because, when you think about it, you've got a lot of land here, and it's really cheap in some areas. And for right now, it's a good bargain for somebody that just wants to come in and dominate. We're ripe for that, right? Because they can come in and throw their money around, whatever they have left. So that's a speculation, and I think that's just as viable. Although the whole thing about Biden is he is incompetent. So why try to prove it over and over again with a bunch of, balloons? Like, you would have to be saying with that statement that we are controlling these balloons in order to, do a meme rich environment to try to bring him down and, the 25th Amendment and stuff like that. Okay, that's absurd. I mean, it really has gotten to that
nothing
point.
like this level of impotence has existed, and yes, I do use that word, impotence, has existed in America since Sputnik in 1957. I mean, this is we're just going to let this balloon fly over our entire country and not do a fucking thing about it. I don't know. Candace, I think that looks really
Well,
bad.
there's another point here too that I got to tell you what is really going on is it's a distraction because we just launched again. I'll go through the same, scenario. More of these laser-enabled Starlink, capable satellites just went up, and so we now are getting close to entire dominance in terms of not only the internet, but also through all communications through the military and Space Force.
So Dave Barra is saying it could have it's rumored to have an EMP device on it, which if it were to set off, that's why we got the radiological readings. If an EMP at that altitude would wipe out the electrical grid in the United States and shut off all communications. And
there you have it.
Create a major crisis.
A little bit more eastward it will. A little bit more eastward it will.
Well, you're on the right side of the Rockies, just like everybody else over there. And there isn't anything between you guys once they get across these mountains.
Now,
I mean,
there's another thing that has to do with this, which is the financial reset. And the information that I'm hearing from a lot of people is the financial reset is about that close to happening. And in fact, the Iraqis basically told the United States at their meeting yesterday that we're going to go and we're going to set our price so high that you're not going to be able to match it. And the only way you're going to be able to match it is if you go to a gold-backed currency, because we're going to back ours with oil. And that is going to destroy the petrodollar and the dominance of the petrodollar throughout the world and change everything. And there are a lot of people who don't want that to happen. And they're not above setting off an EMP device in the skies above the United States. So I'm still trying to get a good reason from any one of you brilliant people on this panel why we shouldn't shoot the fucking thing down right now. Brooks? Blake? Anybody?
Well, I don't think there's a case for letting it fly harmlessly or aimlessly across the United States without action. The radiological signature, as I said, could be anything. If it does have an EMP weapon on it, you're not going to be able to detect much radiation because EMPs use
doesn't have to be.
Yeah, they use neutrons, and it's very difficult to detect these unless you get right up on them. They don't put off X-rays. The radiation that they put off is easily contained with a containment. And this kind of balloon can carry a couple of small cars aloft. So it can carry the weight, and it wouldn't take much of a weapon. And if it's blown off in the right place, and I maintain that place is dead set over Knoxville, Tennessee, or over, Old Hickory outside of Nashville, because that is the epicenter of the TVA grid. And the TVA grid is the main switching grid between the eastern United States and the western United States. If you take out that area, you basically take out 73% of all the electricity in the country. You put out the eyes. and you'll have approximately 35 million people die within 30 days because they have to have electricity to live.
Yeah, because first of all, because of the weather and
Dialysis
things, and dialysis
all
machines.
kinds of
Blake,
Yeah.
I think if this happened, if it was an EMP device that was set up, I think it would be a really bad day for America. And I guess I'm kind of curious, like, don't you think this constitutes an act of war if this is a Chinese device of any kind of threat? I mean, if this is anything more than a camera taking nice close-up pictures of girls sunbathing on a rooftop, I think this is an act of war. And there is this scare event that a certain person that's commonly referred to by a letter of the alphabet, the 17th letter, refers to. Do you think that this could be part of that scare event?
Absolutely. I do think this is an act of war if that's with everything that's been happening. And maybe that's the reason they haven't shot it down. Glad you guys brought up that point, Brooks. Maybe there's an EMP or there's some kind of, nuclear signature or some kind of, after effect that could happen to prevent us from taking it down. They've detected something. That may be a reason, but why isn't China, like, if they can steer it, why aren't they like, oh, oops, our bad, sorry, let's steer it out of our territory? But it's like, yeah, they're just having their way with us. Like, what are you going to do about it? We're spying on you. So
well,
it's
keep in
your
mind
move.
that in the pre-dawn hours of Tuesday of this week, there was a frigate 500, I think it was 590 kilometers off the east coast of the U.S., and it shut off all cell phone traffic on the East Coast for 34 seconds. Now, nobody noticed it because it was the pre-dawn hours, but it was a drill for the Zircon missile. The Zircon missile's on that frigate, and that Zircon missile can fly at Mach 9. Mach 9. That means it can cover 560 kilometers in 5.6 minutes.
About half the
And
speed of a photon torpedo.
I asked a question Wednesday night on my program. What can you do in 5.6 minutes? Nothing.
Well, launch a retaliatory strike against everybody else in the world. Okay, Candace, if devolution is at play, it has to be known, planned, part of the movie, or it would have been blown to pieces. Surely, this is a good point. Is this part, you've kind of said it's part of the plan, but I mean, really?
Well, you set up something here that really is interesting, because I want to look at that whole element that is behind everything, which is the Pentagon, and the fact that we have been actually knowledgeable of the rift that is going on in the Pentagon for the people that are with the plan. And then there's a few generals, a handful of them, I mean, 3 or something, that sit and they just obfuscate, and they won't agree, and they have stopped everything in its tracks.
The Joint Chiefs.
I know
the
where
Joint Chiefs are they're the ones that are being put to test right now. So if that's what's happening, is they're sitting there and going like, well, what do you want to do? And it puts them under such pressure that finally they're going to go, all right, we'll take charge, and we'll, if I have to. I mean, really and truly, look at it that way. I mean, does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it does, because my friend the mechanic was arrested and detained for 5 days on a military base in the Southwest and browbeat about why he thought Donald Trump was the commander-in-chief and Joe Biden was not. And I know there's bad generals out there, because he had to deal with one, and he was not treated very well. And he's a former government official who was pretty high up and protected some pretty important people. And so there is but can really 2 or 3 of these and this guy's in command of an air base in the Southwest that would have the capability of going up and getting this thing. So can really 2 or 3 of these guys stop this? And if that's the case, why don't we drag them out and put them in front of a firing squad, Candace? That's my question.
Well, see, this is where we didn't want to create the incident on Donald Trump's watch. I mean, this really came down to timing. And I've got to look at the calendar, boy. Let me tell you, it is stacking up right now. So, we have a hearing that has been agreed to. A conference date has been set. by SCOTUS about the 22380 that's in front of them, and they honed it. They went in and they changed it a little bit, and they made a great argument. This is really getting good. And so the 17th, we've got a date. We've got several other things that are coming down the pike. You mentioned, the financial situation is hovering.
Yeah.
The Vatican is an absolute meltdown right now. I mean, we are on the high road here, and we really are in a position where it does kind of just take everything at once happening. And with the internet situation, which means, and you talk about the missile that can interrupt things, all that means to me, Brooks, is that what we have the capability to is to switch everything over onto our light wave system, which is ready to go. And it's just a matter of, like going down to each of the places and going like, here's the switch. You just turn it from on to off. And it really resets everything in the whole country.
Candace, that can't generate power through the power grid, can it? I mean, it can't.
Well, the thing about communications is that they're primary to what it is, everything that we do in life. And even a huge dam that generates power through generators and everything else, that is, it has vulnerabilities. But if you are in control of the internet, they can't get to you. They can go in there with their bomb or whatever they've got, but we can bust them too, because we have the people we've got the sniffers out there, these nuke sniffers. We've got tremendous ability in terms of our intelligence birds. They've been all over the country and in places where there is these monumental databases that are really important to our dissemination of information. So yes, our grid is old and cranky, and it does go down. You get a storm or an ice storm, Arkansas, 350,000 people without power this last few days, that's pretty significant. But we're also honing our people. And this is really the educational process. It's like I used to say, civics lesson from hell. People are finally going, like, looking around and going, well, maybe I should make some accommodations and buy a generator maybe, or put in a few bags of rice, So, we're going to have to get there. And you can kick a person's ass all day long, but it's until they have to be without power for 2 weeks and have nothing to eat. And all of a sudden they go, well, maybe I should sort of like start shopping locally, It's like this egg crisis. I kind of crack up about it, because didn't you guys notice that all your eggs were coming from like one area of the country? I mean, why don't you have chickens? It's just like, okay, or beef,
spend my day shoveling chicken shit. And I think a lot of people feel that way. And why should I have to if there's plenty of farmers willing to do it? As long as, the market's not being raped by the bad guys. As long as people are left to do that, there's plenty of people that want to be farmers. If we would just get out of their way and let them be farmers. By the way, thank you.
Well, see, that's the regulation. Yeah, I agree totally. I know all of that crap.
That's what
paying them not to make crops, and I mean, everything's out of touch. So,
yeah. By the way, I just wanted to say, a couple people asked me how I'm feeling. I had surgery on Tuesday. I was actually expecting just to go in for a quickie exam, but I had after the thing I had on my leg last July, I had a cyst, and they didn't like the looks of it in the biopsy, so they cut me, which I didn't expect. There's nothing. Let me just tell you, there's nothing better to do on a Tuesday afternoon than the smell of your own burning flesh as they cauterize it before they stitch it. It's sore. It hurts. I'm having a hard time sleeping. I'm just going to let everybody know. Thank you for asking. I'd probably be next week before it feels better. So thank you for asking. To those sweet folks.
Oh, new meme just in. It's from Midnight Rider channel. I gotta send this to you. It's great. They got the balloon being hit by Trump's aircraft.
Yeah. Well, there's also one with Trump's golf ball. Trump hits a golf ball and it hits the balloon. And then there's one. I'm looking at one here. Eric, happy Valentine's Day. Love Fang Fang. That's up there too. Well, here, let's just go through. Let's look at some of the memes that are there. We'll go just do a quick screen share here and go to Twitter. And then I got a question for you, TV's Blake Wally. Okay, yeah, here's Eric, happy Valentine's Day. Love from Fang Fang. There's that one. There's Kevin Sorbo. We'll get that balloon. Carrie Lake took this picture of herself. Said, I understand there's a balloon out there that needs to be taken care of. Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. There's the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden red balloon. 99 Das Luft balloons. This is not a real picture. Yeah, this is one. Yep. The best photo of it. So yeah, it looks like it's got solar panels for power. T. Schlitt photography. Okay, maybe. But if we can see it that clearly, we can shoot it down. Now this would be great if it spun around and said Trump won 2020. Fuck Joe Biden. That's pretty good. We like that one.
I sent you a great one on Telegram, so take a look at that one.
Okay,
it's the best.
Here's one with Hunter hanging from it. Yeah, here's another. It's scary up there. Look at that. That's scary. Shoot the damn thing down.
It's the Death Star.
Yeah. All right. Let me go to Telegram. Let me see what Candace sent me. And I'm not going to show you this. Let me see. Candace sent me one. I can't share. Oh yeah, it's Trump. Yeah, I'll fix this bullshit. I can't really show it, Candace, because it's just not going to work for various reasons. All right, TV's Blake Wally. I'm going to put you in the Oval Office, in the president's chair, the old JFK rocking chair, with the red carpet as LBJ actually swam in the blood of his predecessor, who he'd murdered, JFK. And all the Freemasons are there, and all the military people are there, and they're telling you, we don't know what this thing is, but it's flying over our country and we can shoot it down. I want to know, Blake, what are your orders as the president in that circumstance?
I think they would easily shoot it down unless they thought there was some kind of a nuclear material and fallout, like a dirty bomb or something smothering the area. I think that's like the first thing that they would do. They were a lot more on alert for something like that. I just can't imagine anybody just walking all over us the way China is right now. This is new. So is it a sign of war? Are they escalating it? Or are they daring us to shoot it down because then they're going to do something else? I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't trust the administration at all. This is a pretty sad, evolution of things, even since LBJ, who was really crooked and was happy to take the seat of power as long as they took out Kennedy. But maybe Kennedy wouldn't have messed with it. I don't know how that plays out. LBJ would have just done whatever the deep state wanted him to do. And I think the military definitely shoots first, asks questions later at that time. But I don't know. That's just my philosophy on that question at this moment.
Kitty tail and kitty paws behind me. All right, Brooks, you're the president. You're sitting in the Oval Office. Your diapers are not full. You have the decision to make. What decision are you going to make about this thing? What are you going to do about it?
Ack.
That's the obscure Mars Attacks reference. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, I think I would go up there with a Hellfire missile and evaporate the thing.
Yeah, me too.
You want to capture it and see what kind of tech it's got. I don't know.
Yeah, just send up the James Bond machine with the big jaws that open up and swallow it up in midair.
Or I would send up a TR-3, one of the big black triangles that flies real slow, and take it right up next to it, put a tractor beam on it, and fly it to Edwards Air Force Base.
Okay. Candace, what are you doing? What are you doing with this thing? You're the president. Your decision. What are you doing?
I better not start with That's all
Candace. Yeah.
I've got to be defined about this. I I really do think I'd put it on the desk of the inspector general or somebody important and just look them in the eye and say, what are you going to do? Because it's, I'm not a military expert. And really our commander in chief is, Donald Trump. So he's ultimately going to make the decision whether or not Biden looks incompetent or not. At this point in time, it's irrelevant. But I kind of go with Brooks. I'd rather take the heavy metal out there and just completely annihilate it.
I'd make a phone call. Hello? Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Xi, you watching? Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Next time it's you. Okay, next time.
Well, and the idea of having taken it out over the Aleutians, I would say is much better than allowing it to ever even come close to our country. So, that, and this is ongoing for probably the last year. We've noticed NOTAMs over that area that have followed, suspiciously some stuff that is going on as far as, quote unquote, military operations. So I really do have that suspicion they've allowed it. So that's, part of it too.
Okay. I say shoot it down. And I would have shot it down way before it got to this point. I think there's something else going on. I think there's an ulterior motive here. And we're about to find out if the good guys or the bad guys are in control. However, if the scenario is, there has to be a scare event, maybe this is the scare event. Maybe there will be some sort of EMP pulse. Maybe we'll have to adapt to that. Maybe there's some plan in place. I don't know. But, some friends of mine said, watch the skies a while back. I think Q might have said, watch the skies. Brooks?
Watch the water.
Brooks, you look like you have something you want to say.
Well, it's like, I'm President Xi, and I'm going, watch this. We'll float this damn thing all the way across the country to the White House and blow it up, and they won't touch it. They're just going to let us do it. You watch.
Yeah, no action encourages more. I guess I have to agree with that. Okay, guys, let's move on.
A little sign that comes out, like what is it? The Martian on Bugs Bunny, where the sign comes out and it comes down and it says "bang."
Yeah, bang. Jen said, "Watch the sky 2 weeks ago." Thank you. All right, Brooks. Give us the latest update on what's going on in Ukraine. I hear that the Russian offensive is ready to start or has actually started. Is that true that it's actually started? By the way, kids, when I went to the doctor, I'm down to 207. I'm getting cut. I'm going to be 190 by the end of the year. I promise you. Go ahead.
Wow.
I'm going to be.
Wow. I'm still 0.1 metric tons, but.
And my testosterone is through the roof, ladies. My testosterone is unvaxxed seed and testosterone through the roof. What more could any girl ask for? Go ahead, Brooks. Tell us what's going on in Ukraine.
I still weigh 0.1 metric tons, but I can punch so hard the heavy bag falls off the chain.
Like Ivan Drago, most heavyweights generate 670 pounds of pressure.
I will crush you. I will crush you.
600 pounds. Rocky IV is a great movie. You gotta eat.
Yeah, that's my favorite Rocky. I will crush you.
Either watch Rocky IV or Rocky versus Drago, which is Stallone's director's cut of Rocky IV, which is better in some ways and worse than others. It's like, no, Sly, there's still a third movie in there somewhere that's perfect. Because he cut out, anyway, Rocky IV. Go ahead. That's my reference.
Anyway, there's a town near Soledar. Soledar is the mining town of Donetsk in the Donbass. And it is completely surrounded, and they've been moving in on it and just pounding the crap out of it. And of course, it's been cut off from reinforcements for a while. But the really weird thing is they're going in and they're finding dead soldiers that were just wounded, and they cut off their hands and their heads to slow down the identification of these individuals. And of course, the hands and heads have been removed. That they're no, and it was done while they were alive. So these soldiers were wounded, and they couldn't keep up, and they didn't want them captured by the Russians and interrogated. So they beheaded them and cut their hands off. Now, this is an Al Qaeda technique.
Did
But
they at least shoot them
that's what
first
they're using.
before they beheaded them and chopped their hand? Or that seems pretty brutal.
No, they were wounded by Russian weapons, either artillery or shrapnel or whatever, but they weren't dead when their heads were cut off and their hands
You're
were
going to
cut
get
off.
a lot of volunteers if you're doing that stuff in Ukraine.
Well, that's the thing. See, they don't want any of the prisoners to fall into the hands of the Russians. They don't want them interrogated because something's going on. But anyway, Donetsk, the third most state in the Donbass, is now free, and there are 500,000 new Russian troops right on the border getting ready to march in. So Russians have never been much about taking and holding territory. It's much more tactical for them to move in and move out and move in and move out, especially in the wintertime. It just wears the enemy out because when they attack, the Russians retreat and then shell the crap out of them as they're coming in. So the Russians lose nobody. The enemy never even gets to see a Russian soldier, but the enemy loses 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 men, and that just slows them down in the middle of the winter. By the way, it is minus 40 in International Falls, and it's just a little bit above that in the Ukraine. It is really cold, and those guys don't have the uniforms for it. And as you pointed out about a month ago, there are no lights anywhere in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So there's no place to get warm. It's over for them. And here's the bad thing. Well, I guess the good thing or bad thing, however you want to look at it. The U.S. has lost. It has lost. Even if it's able to take back territory, it's already lost. It's over. And the best thing that can be done right now is to negotiate the terms under which NATO retreats. And like Trump said, that we could end this war in 1 hour. It would be so easy. All we would have to do is just cut off the funding to NATO and say, we're not going to pay you another penny. You're going to have to fund this war yourselves. We're not going to pay you another penny until you retreat back behind the 2008 lines before Obama was president. That's when they really started taking advantage of these treaty-like talks that they had with Putin. Oh, don't worry, we're not going to expand NATO to the east. We would never do that. But it was only the president saying it, not the State Department saying it. So we lied. We lied year after year, president after president, but it basically started with Clinton and really got bad under Obama. So I say go back to the 2008 lines, stabilize everything, set those 4 states free, and let's move on.
Okay. So things are not looking good for NATO there. Anything else going on? Like, what's the next phase of this? At what point does this thing just end? I mean, Putin's not going to, there were other things that happened this week, which is that the U.S. government, through some documents that they released, confirmed that, yeah, we funded 46 biolabs worldwide, many of them in Ukraine. And so everything Putin said is true about why he was going in there. So doesn't that vindicate him, or does it not make any difference because, Russian man bad?
Well, there's a lot more to it than that because there's a human trafficking aspect to it too. And the Child Protective Services is the main source of kids that have been forced into that network. They're put on planes and flown to Ukraine for experiments.
Boom. This is huge. Yeah, this just came out this week. Yep. That's what I've done research on too, Brooks. I just wanted to, confirm that because a lot of those labs were used as what they call safe houses, and they were moving kids all over from, east to west and north to south. So, this is CPS at its finest. And let me tell you, I'm on it. We've been working on that for 3 years now. It's at the most repped.
On February 25th, the first thing he did is go straight for the orphanages and put all those kids on buses and bus them to Moscow to safety.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we have to do that.
Okay, Blake, any other issues, anything you have on your mind that you wanted to talk about? There's actually some more on this Damar Hamlin thing. Did we cover the video? I don't remember if last Friday, did he do the video? I don't think he'd done the video yet. Where Damar Hamlin
tattoo or whatever. Yeah, and he made his appearance. Yeah.
And let me show you. Let me see if I can find it over on my Twitter. He supposedly came out, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, and made an appearance where it was supposedly Damar Hamlin talking all normal, being just a normal guy. And I don't have it here with me right now. And the guy, he comes in and he turns around and he drops his jersey or his t-shirt and there's no tattoos on his arm. And Damar Hamlin has tattoos all up and down his arm, so it wasn't him. A lot of people are saying it's a deep fake. And of course, the NFL, Pfizer, they're really complicit in this whole thing. And so I don't know, Blake, what do you think of the Damar Hamlin thing? I don't think it's going away quite yet. I think they'd like it to go away, but I don't think it's going to. Do you?
I mean, that video was relatively convincing. It did a good job of trying to get most of the people to go with it that were doubting it. So I think that would definitely buy him some time. I'm not even entirely convinced myself, and I don't really know how far woo I want to get. We'll have to see some other development there, but definitely, yeah. With the tattoo, it was kind of a misdetail, perhaps, or maybe it was the lighting. I'd like to believe that he's doing okay, but yeah, the NFL and Pfizer, and they have every reason to to not want this story out in case there is some kind of a serious problem going on that could really affect their.
To sort of give everybody an example that not everybody's going to appreciate and not everybody is going to partake in. But if you don't think deepfakes are a thing, if you don't think that they can be done, if you don't think that they work, go to Pornhub.com and type in AOC and look at those deepfakes, because trust me, they can make them flawless. I mean, you really would believe it's her and it's not her. So, which is good for me because she's going to be my future wife.
Is she a Libra?
October 13th, Libra. She's my girl. So I'm going to take her to Vegas and smarten her up, and she's going to be so enamored with me. She's going to be my wife by the time. And I'm going to turn her. I'm going to do the Vulcan mind meld, and I'm going to turn her to the good side. I am. She's going to become one of us. She's going to be a Jedi like all of us. No, I hate to say that, but deepfakes work. I mean, if they can do that, they can certainly do it. But then, again, Candace, this is what I got to ask you. Why leave the tattoos off the arms? Is it because they don't give a shit? Do they think we're stupid? Or do they want to leave a trail of breadcrumbs for us to figure it out and see who the smart ones are so they can turn them to the dark side later? What's the deal with that? Because that was an obvious mistake in that video.
Well, the thing about deepfakes is that a lot of times that's too expensive. And, because that takes some pretty heavy duty, sophisticated, CGI. And, a lot of this is done just with mask and silicone molds. And that's another thing that I know the guy that was producing them on the West Coast, and, he had a big market going on. In fact, there's more and more coming out that there's a different Biden every time he comes out. And, this is the kind of thing that we're not really, nobody is jiggy about the technology, and that this is become less and less and less able for people to get these made because the people that were doing it have started to understand that they're complicit in an incredible crime. And this is, I had a conversation, over 2 years ago about this with a good friend that I still know that was in the makeup business in the Adelaide area. And she said there was hardly any work anymore because this is, again, the mainstream media, they're all going to be held accountable for this. This is not like something that is just going to pass by. So, I would go back in terms of my knowledge base, and I just am saying they're slipping and they forgot. It's as simple as that sometimes. They should have put a long sleeve shirt on him or something, to cover. But, they got the C and the D teams out there. The people that are like, what do you want me to do again? Yeah, I got the stuff. And where does it go? The A team has all, they've gotten out of the way a long time ago because I was a part of the A team in Seattle. And I'll tell you, if that kind of thing happened around me, and it did actually in 1999, I was part and party to a complete con job that some of the producers were perpetrating. And I said to myself, I don't want to be a part of this industry anymore. And I hung it up. I was smarter than the average bear. So, but there's a lot of folks out there that really don't have that and are participating in something that is really completely falling apart. So it's, a lot of times it's the best they can do. I guess that's my assessment.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for being here in the chat tonight. We got 400 or 500 people, which we appreciate a lot. Don't forget to visit our wonderful sponsors, the CBD Gurus, in the upper right-hand corner right here, the CBDGurus.com. They have all kinds of cool CBD products for your health. And if you go to the wholesale tab, click on Mike B Wholesale, type in the discount code ALIEN, Alien, you can get all kinds of cool discounted products, CBD pet oil, bath bombs, cool stuff like that, pain cream. And for every $25 you spend, you get 1 million Venezuelan Bolivar, just in case this reset thing actually happens. Brooks, why don't you tell everybody about what's going on over at brooksagnew.blog and tell them how they can get their wonderful healing therapeutics.
If you have heard anything about ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine and you've wondered how to get it for yourself, you can do it easily by going to my website, brooksagnew.blog, click on the store link, and go follow the button that says therapeutics. And you can get ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine yourself without a prescription at cost, shipped directly to your house. That's how it's done. Super simple. Tens of thousands of people have done it, and you can too.
Okay, and I recently sent some to a friend in Florida, and I haven't heard from her. I hope she's okay, but you never know. So brooksagnew.blog store, go to immunization. You could also get all Brooks's books and things like that there. And let's see, Blake, tell us what's going on over at the nextlevelnews.com. I'll try to get that one. There we go.
Not much lately. I'm going to have to do some serious updates. I've actually been moving here east of California in the same complex, but from one unit to another, packing, unpacking. But if you've noticed, my internet has improved substantially.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got a much better view of the sky. Got more space to put my studio in. So work in progress. So quick transition, but I'll start doing more material. I'm also doing some shows with one of my friends, Agree to Disagree, with Brian Engelman. We've been working together about 10 years. So we kind of restarted that.
Yep.
Follow that if they want to check that out on either my YouTube channels or on Twitter. We're doing that Tuesday and Thursday for now. And I think that's about all I've got going on, but looking forward to doing a lot more content as we go through the year.
Candace, tell us about what's going on over on Frequency of the Earth on Facebook then.
Well, we're kind of keeping time over there. It's not been an interesting, sort of period of time as far as the frequency. We have noticed some things going on, and I think they're worth talking about at some point. I'm hoping maybe next month to start doing a weekly show and seeing how it goes. I am working with a group that is closely associated with the Brunson brother situation. And we do a show on Ruby Ray Media every Thursday. And it's really gotten into some interesting conversations. So that's kind of fun. And I do have a couple more packages of shungite if people would like to get some going on for putting in their water, and using it for the incredible amount of activation that it can do. It's also a good, antibacterial. And, with our water systems, I think that we need to be aware that part of this whole weather pattern that we've been experiencing with large amounts of snow, large amounts of rain, ice, they've got like 200, 300, 400% over average in the mountains here in the Rockies, and even on the coast and down across the country. We're, way, way, way good as far as our water. But what that's going to mean in the springtime is we're going to have a ton of runoff. And a lot of the water systems are also very old and shaky. So, with the amount of water that will be flushed through, a lot of this is going to end up with contaminants in it. And I think we need to be aware that that is something that we wash in it, we, drink it. I would invest in a reverse osmosis sort of thing, or get enough shungite to charge your water that you drink. So I do have some of that left. So check in. And I really like the contributions I got a couple weeks ago when I said my PayPal address. It really helped me out because I've had a lot of expenses lately. And
was what again, Candace? Let us know. Go ahead and tell me.
It's Montana Geology Tours at protonmail.com, and that's PayPal. And again, I've worked, gratis for a very long time, and I don't normally, promote myself and ask for that, but again, it very graciously by an individual from your group, and I'm going to get him a special box of stuff as soon as I can here.
So it's Montana Geology Tours at protonmail.com on PayPal. Help a girl out. Help Candace out. Everybody can use a little love these days, right?
Right. And it's so it's greatly appreciated. You guys are the best. I really, really enjoy this roundtable. Appreciate that you give me time to talk about the things I'm interested in, and that particularly, Brooks, I'm standing right beside you. If you want to get into this, this purpose that we need to address, which is really uncovering the horrid situation in our Child Protective Services. This is something I worked on 3 and 4 years ago now, but we've had to just kind of hold it to the side because anybody that even ventured into that was, destroyed. And we're looking at a little cleaner field of play here coming up. I'm just really pleased. I had my venue here in Montana, playing my zone with the tribes, and we have made huge efforts and really accomplished a lot here. And it's really on the local level that I can say, if ladies want to get into this, anybody that's a mom has to understand that there are support groups out there, and also, understanding the financial situation that, there's even doctor groups that are out there now that are helping people up, frontline doctors. And, we're coming into an age where more naturopathic, homeopathic, natural medicine is starting to be used. And, I also have to give a plug for just prayer and for being able to manage your own life and your own body temple in a good way, so that you can keep your mind straight and your heart connected. And we work with that on Frequency of the Earth quite often. I have a whole lot of articles on resonance, on taking care of your chakra system, on your endocrine system, your senses, the 5 senses. All of this is connected, and just builds a body and builds a mind so that we can endure this time and get on the other side. So,
okay, so according to some reports, which I just checked out on Twitter, the United States is at DEFCON 2 right now, which is one step above war. So that is kind of important. Watch the Water, Sky Event, Red Carpet, D-Day. It's all coming together today. Interesting message. Okay. DEFCON 2. It's a little nerve-wracking. Guys. Okay, anything else anybody wants to talk about? Blake, you got anything else you wanted to talk about on the show before we move on to the entertainment portion while we're at DEF CON 2, by the way?
Well,
Blake.
yeah, I guess one of the important stories, and we talked about Damar Hamlin, is just the threat of AI coming here, and that one of the things was the Chat GPT that's been used. So now you've got artificial intelligence that can replicate what humans can do as writing, as deep fakes. With voices, you really can't tell anymore. You're not going to be able to tell as the technology gets better, and that's alarming. Plus, they're programming it to be heavily politicized. So I don't know if you've seen some of these articles.
That's right.
Yeah,
A left-leaning AI.
Yeah, it's.
By the way, I was able to just confirm those AOC deep fakes over.
By the way, I should let people know that I put Chat GPT through its paces. It passed the first 2 tests. It failed the last 3. Made a good effort, but I determined that it is about the intellect of a college freshman. So it isn't there yet. It can do some basic stuff like spell check and grammar check and, write code and stuff like that. But when it comes to thinking, and comes to using pieces of software to do stuff, it can't do it.
Yeah, but the reality is, Brooks, is that whatever they're giving us publicly is 20 years behind what they've got privately. So Colossus exists, Skynet exists, the Cylons exist. They're all in the background there.
I can't wait.
Waiting to be unleashed,
I can't wait.
Right?
I got metal piercing rounds. I want to shoot some of those robot dogs.
Yeah, the robot dogs
would
are
splatter.
pretty scary.
They would splatter.
There was a really bad remake of War of the Worlds starring Gabriel Byrne from BBC about 4 years ago, and it had those robot dogs as the aliens that came to invade, and they really sucked. I really hated them. So
that would be a lot.
You got to find a way to knock them all out.
I mean, I got when I was a kid, we used to go to the dump and shoot rats with 22s. And rats are hard to shoot. They fast, they move quick, they're small, but man, shooting robot dogs with the 30-06, man, I would do that all day long. 6-pack after 6-pack on the tailgate of my pickup truck. I would just love the hell out of that. Bring them on.
We used to target swamp rats from my speeder back on Tatooine. They're not much bigger than 2 meters.
Womp rats. They're womp rats.
Womp rats. Sorry, swamp rats. How can I forget my Star Wars dialogue? So, by the way, there's a video out there. It's 2001: A Space Odyssey, directed by George Lucas. It's hilarious. It's about 2 minutes long. Go check it out on YouTube. There we are, Darth Vader. Okay, Candace, we just got into the AI thing. Anything you want to talk about before we move on to the entertainment portion, or you want to go and?
Well, I just want to say that was a good assessment in terms of, how it was approached. You have to look at it like that there is good AI and that there is then what we consider transhumanism. And yes, they are able to build robots that resemble people, but they are really having problems when they start going down that road.
With the batteries. That's one thing about us. I can turn peanut butter into eye tissue. What can you do?
Well, this is a part of what God gave us, Brooks, that is unreplicable. I think that's the right word. They cannot replicate it because it is a gift from God. And, we'll get to a point where they're going to think that, they're all that and be able to put these things into play. But I'll tell you, when you meet one in person, they're empty.
Yeah,
they have no soul.
Let's go body surfing, man. Oh, sorry, you can't. You're a robot. Oh.
The AI thing created some scenes from a party, and it's like, oh, none of these people are real. And I'm looking at them going, they didn't look real to me. I didn't think for a second any of those people were real. They all look like CGI, so you're doing a shitty job. And if you guys have probably seen the meme, and it's Apple's App Store on their iPhone, and it says, I cannot find an app called App Store. Would you like to look for it in the App Store? I'm not worried about computers taking over the world anytime soon. I think the age of Colossus and Skynet and the Cylons is a little bit far away.
It's a great tool. AI is not going to take over the world, but a human with AI can take over the world.
Yeah. Ozymandias from
great tool.
From the Watchmen. Right, there we go. All right, guys. Okay, we are going to have an entertainment section tonight. We are going to move to a top 3 or top 5. I don't know, top 5. But I do want to keep the format changed where we go through our list of our 5 favorite. In this case, women singers. I think we might have done this before, but we're going to do it again. And
we couldn't have.
So they don't have to be rock and roll singers. They don't have to be opera singers. But our top 5 women singers is our list for tonight. Anybody who's ready can volunteer and go first if you're ready. Candace, you probably have some opinions on this, right? Why don't we start with you, actually?
Mine are really easy because, they're kind of who's been as popular as, my generation, I guess you could say, which is a little older than a lot of folks. So I don't update things, it's sort of a sad thing, but that's okay because I've got 5 people I love, and I'll just name them off because I don't think I want to really give them a rating as far as that's concerned. That Tina Turner, who basically can rock a house, if you've ever seen her in concert, there is no doubt she is probably the best singer that anybody ever heard at any time throughout history. So I'll go with her. I really love Joni Mitchell, and it was kind of sad when she went all, lefty liberal, but Joni has a range that is undefiably perfection. And, I got to see her several times in concert. And she has a voice that's kind of like an instrument. And she also is a composer, and she plays really unusual instruments. And in unusual keys. And that was always a great, love for me. So Gracie Slick, I just adore. And she actually has aged pretty well. But, she was a part of Jefferson Airplane, and they just did back in the 60s. They were the top of the game, and she could sing all night long. I mean, this woman had vocal cords that never stopped. So that's 3, and then I'm going to go with Sinead O'Connor. I think that she had kind of a incredible position in terms of why she sang, what she was singing, and how she basically could just, she was emotional with her music. And this, I think, affected everybody. It was like the statement of an era, so I'm going to go with her. And then I'm going to kind of diverge from my usual sort of, I don't know, I can't decide. I guess I'm going to go with Cass Elliot, because Cass she was the classic sort of, left out of everything. And then she came in and she just could, she had a presence. She was a big woman, but she also just had a beautiful voice. And I don't think she was ever used to capacity as far as her abilities, because she sang with a group, Peter, Paul, and Mary. And, it was a situation that was, just the way it was in those days. The women singers had to sort of take what they could get. And Janis Joplin, she was good. I didn't like her voice that particularly, but she has, she has a position in the 27 Club, and her story is kind of compelling. So anyway, so that's it. So.
Yeah. I think there's an Elton John song called "Dirty Little Girl" that was written about Janis Joplin, and he tried to sing it like Janis Joplin, and he couldn't do it because her voice was unique. It was very male, very masculine voice, but very powerful. My sister used to play her records all the time, and And
Well, she brought Southern comfort to the fore. She'd always carry
Yeah.
Southern comfort with her. I don't
Yeah.
see how people could live like that, but that's just me. So anyway, but
Well,
yeah, there's no doubt.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say, you could include, some people might include Madonna on that list. And here's a picture of Madonna. And I will say this, Madonna looks really good for her age. If her age is 2,700-year-old vampire who lives off the blood of virgins. Good God, Madonna, what the hell have you? Jesus.
That's cool.
She was so fucking cute in 1984 when she did Like a Virgin, and now she's just, okay, no thank you. All right.
When she played on Dick Tracy.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Okay, Brooks, your list of favorite women singers, and it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 5. Just the ones that stick out.
My number 5 is going to be Linda Ronstadt. She has a very unique voice, fantastic entertainer. She did musicals, she did stage performance, records. She was, I just loved her voice. My number 4 is probably one of the most versatile female voices in 100 years. Is going to be Lady Gaga. She's so talented, so powerful, and she can sing everything from Sound of Music to punk. I mean, she's just tremendous. She's a good writer too. My number 3 is a new singer you probably haven't heard of before. Her name is Angelina Jordan. She won Norway's Got Talent at age 4.
Wow.
Yeah, and then she blazed through X Factor. She has a chameleon voice in the sense that she can sing like Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, pretty much any of the pop singers, and then she has her own style. So she's an up and coming. I think she's going to be one of the greats of all time. My number 2 is Amy Lee. She's the lead singer for Evanescence. I've seen her twice in concert.
Oh yeah,
she is so powerful. I mean, this woman holds the microphone like 2 feet away from her mouth. She's so powerful and so great on stage.
Robin Zander of emo rock. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And my number 1 is Annette Olsen. She's the opera 5-octave singer for a band called Nightwish. And even female vocalist judges rank her the best female vocalist in the world. She's really, really tremendous.
Interesting. Okay, Janice was a guy, says Susie Q. And at the risk of pissing anybody off, Joan Jett couldn't sing at all. She might have done some good rock and roll stuff, but she's not.
She was like a total rock and roll package though, and such a rebel.
Just had no. Anyway, Deborah, don't you mean Rick Springfield? Rick Springfield, not Dusty Springfield. TV's Blake Wally. I have a suspicion our lists are going to be overlapping to some extent, but I'm going to let you go first. What do you think?
Perhaps. No, I appreciate letting me go third. Give me some time because I did have a list of like overall vocalists, but they were all men. So I had to kind of go through.
Right.
And yeah. But
I can go if you want. If you're not done, I can go.
No, I'm ready now. That got me enough time to dig up a list. And it's not that I don't appreciate the female vocals. It's just probably not the type of music that I usually listen to necessarily. Right. But I will go number 5. Will be an overlap with Candace. I'm just gonna throw Grace Slick out, and I'm wearing the Gonzo journalism T-shirt from the White Rabbits from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Definitely have to go with that. That was an amazing performance by her. Great voice. Number 4, I'll just have to go with Dolly Parton. She is a national treasure and has had an incredible career and is still going strong. I think she's going to be doing like New Year's or something with Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, she just got inducted. Yeah, just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame along with Duran Duran, who deserved to be there 20 years ago. But just last year.
Behind.
Just this year,
but anyway, he's great. Number 3, I'm going to go with Deborah Harry because I do like a lot of her music from back in the day. Right?
She was hot.
And she's hot, yeah.
Videodrome. Watch James Woods and Deborah Harry, Videodrome. Bizarre David Cronenberg.
That was actually a well-reviewed movie back. It's a cult classic kind of a thing. number 2, I'll go with Whitney Houston. That was actually one of the few. I actually had it on cassette way back in the day in the 80s. She was just a huge, mega superstar, and she was incredibly talented. Until
phenomenal singing voice, right?
Until the Bobby Brown thing kind of ruined everything. But that's a side issue. So I will go number 1. I have to say Aretha Franklin. I know she's kind of considered one of those top, and she did some incredible work, just going way back to the Blues Brothers days and like real R&B when I liked it, not the modern day stuff it devolved into, but incredible voice. And they had trouble with it because she was just so passionate and went with her emotions and the way that she sang, and it was hard for her to like repeat stuff. So I think she had some trouble on the Blues Brothers because she doesn't always sound like the way she's recorded or what have you. It's always a different performance, but mega talented. So Aretha Franklin, blues R&B queen.
Interesting.
All right,
list. Good. Thank you. It's interesting. I have a hard time separating the singing voice from the songwriter. I tend to like women that are songwriters. Skinhead O'Connor, I agree with you. I agree with you, Candace. On that one performance, the Prince song, Nothing Compared to You, she was great. I don't remember anything I ever heard that was that good from her ever again.
No, that was her big hit. That was her big hit.
But it was a big hit. It's a great song, and she took his song and made it better, which isn't very often. I mean, Patti Smith took Because the Night by Bruce Springsteen and made it a better song. So those things are important. I'm going to give you one because she's a songwriter that you probably nobody's mentioned and nobody's ever heard. Carole King was a very talented singer and songwriter in the 1960s,
one of my tops,
70s. She wrote an album called Tapestry, which I think is one of my all-time great folk rock albums that you'll ever listen to. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. It's got some wonderful songs on it. I'm going to go for Dave Barrow, who's not listening. Anna Ross, backup singer for Duran Duran, because she's smoking. All right. But I have two. I have two at the top that I cannot, that are hard to separate. So here's how I'm going to separate them. Ann Wilson has a phenomenal voice. I've heard her sing live many times. I think the most recent time was at the Greek Theater in 2009 or 2010. It was Cheap Trick, Heart, and Journey, and I didn't stay for Journey, or I tried to get out of there. But Robin Zander as a male singer and Ann Wilson as a female singer, they're just absolutely phenomenal. Both of them are just incredible voices. But I don't like Heart's songwriting very much. I don't think their songs are that great. I mean, I like Straight On. I like a few other songs like that. But I have to give the top to Pat Benatar, who is the best female singer I have ever heard live or on a record. She was trained to be an opera singer like Tom Jones. She walked away from that career, although she could have done it to do rock and roll and pop music. And the range of her voice, the high, the low, and even live is just, again, she was also put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this last session. And I'm just going to say, until you have heard her sing One Love on a warm summer night in Minneapolis with your then wife's hips in your hands, dancing around, you just haven't lived. And she really, really impressed me with her vocal range and her ability to put stuff in it. But again, the songs are kind of emotionally dead, but they're better than Hearts. So I'm going to go with Pat Benatar, number one. It's like funny. I mentioned Rick Springfield. Rick Springfield technically is one of the best guitar players you've ever heard, but he's got no soul. No soul whatsoever. It's like, oh, tell me what to play and I'll play it exactly, but I can't put anything into it. So anyway, interesting list, guys. Good stuff. I don't know what the top 5 is going to be next week. I keep wondering. One of these days, I think, Carole King wrote Natural Woman, great song. And Tara Faye from Shiny Toy Guns is an honorable mention. If you don't know Kara, check out You Are the One live on YouTube. Kara Faye and Shiny Toy Guns, You Are the One. And that's my perfect punk girl. I would marry 2007 Kara Faye if I got the opportunity. There's just I would give it all up for marriage and go back to that. Okay. Love you guys. Thanks for being here. Interesting news week. I keep thinking one of these weeks, the whole world's going to be really different. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but it seems like we're really, really, really close. So
very close.
Hang on to that. Keep watching the skies. Keep watching the skies, as I said at the end of the thing. And we'll see you guys again here next week. Have a great weekend. It's a non-football weekend. Only one football game left, which is sad. But have a good one. Live long, prosper. Oh, also, don't forget, please continue to not forget. Don't forget to go to AlienCon and go to their contact page and bug them about what is Mike Barra going to be there? Why isn't Mike Barra going to be there? Go bug AlienCon. Go to their contact page and give them a little heat, just to bother them a little bit. And the same with Contact in the Desert. We want to go to Contact in the Desert and bug them a little bit because look at all these losers nobody's ever heard of. And everything that's being done, keeping me out of these events where I've been there many times before, it's all political and or because I got sexually assaulted by one of the stars of a certain TV show. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I'm going to have to delete this recording. There's a lot of political shit going on. And one of the biggest reasons why I can't wait for all this stuff to start happening is so I can say I told you so to every single person that's doubted me. It's cost me a lot to be truthful with you people. And Hollywood is very liberal, so the TV stuff been very tough. But in the end, we're going to win, and we are going to be the ones on top, and we're going to be the ones, Brooks, creating the programming and telling the truth to people, because right now they're being bullshitted up one side. The other. That's my thought for Friday. Spruce Pine, North Carolina, or bust. It'll be awesome. Love you guys. See you next Friday. For Blake and Brooks and Candace, I'm Mike Barra. We'll see you next week on Friday Night Fun Time. Thanks. Bye.
There you go.
Bye.
Blessings.